All right. All right. Hello. This is Dr. Leah Michelin back with another edition of Chronicles of a Houston ISD Principal through the Destruction 2035, otherwise known as the TEA Takeover of Houston ISD. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the mid-year proficiency screener, which was a lovely mid-year quick check for our career. The proficiency screener, Superintendent Miles, was very clear to differentiate that this was not a part of our evaluation system. And he does this because it's nowhere found in the LEAD guidebook. Now, if you'll remember from my first video, the LEAD guidebook is the appraisal system for principals. So we have a proficiency screening. All principals get a proficiency screening, but it is not a principal evaluation. Why, you ask? I'm not really sure. So, day before spring break, our year was going along. Can't say it was going along well, but it was going. We're getting different editions of our appraisal system, and we are told that if we get an email to meet that Friday, so Thursday, if we were to get an email Thursday evening to meet Friday morning, that means that we did not meet proficient on this proficiency screener that was going to be released. So of course we're eagerly checking our emails and then talking about it. Did you get it? I got it. Did you get it? And then we enter the room with Superintendent Miles, knowing that, about 117 of us did not meet proficient somewhere in this proficiency screener. We didn't know anything about it. And then this flow chart is thrust upon us. A flow chart with stop signs. So the flow chart begins with passing a leadership rubric, which I'm going to go over in a minute. Then it goes to either proficient or below proficient on student achievement and quality of instruction. Those are the two areas that you're graded on. And that decides whether you move on to proficiency screening 2 or you get to remain as a principal and get your contract. So how is this motivating? It is not. This is the most unmotivating flow chart that you could ever get a group of employees. But that happened to us. So the first step in the rubric is the leadership rubric. And is this a doozy? This has some great cult-like language written right into it. And you see it's 1 through 7. There's about, 5 maybe different areas that each have a rubric. They take those numbers. And then if you're 21 or higher, you pass this rubric. Well, here's a little example of some of that language. In team meetings, the leader is persuasive but dispassionately entertains others' interests and ideas and is willing to change her position if doing so will benefit the goals of the district. Yeah, I even asked, well, do you know what dispassionately entertains means? No? Okay. All right. Good. Very good. So you pass that by calculating those scores, 21 or higher. Yay, you get to move on. If you don't reach 21, then you are at the bottom end of that stop sign. So if you move on to step 2, they're going to look at your student achievement and your quality of instruction. And I went over these 2 areas in my last video that are part of your appraisal. Student achievement being test scores, MAP star, quality of instruction being IRT. And so you were if you were sitting in that room, you were either not proficient in quality of instruction or student achievement. Now, back to that day-to-day coaching, and I want to go back just for a second here. And if you see this little 25 points, part of the quality of instruction. So that 25 points is made up of not a true rubric, but they literally gave us this in May, and they showed us what that day-to-day coaching meant. And it was a list of characteristics. So, for example, this one, I've got it blocked. For this one, clarity, specificity, and actionability. So is your feedback clear, actionable, well-defined, etc., etc.? If your feedback meets that, they give you a number. Pick any number, 1 through 7, and that's your number. That's how they're deciding our employment. Not like an exceeds, proficient, like T-test type rating or rubric, just picking a number 1 through 7. I can't feel good about that. Again, this was given to us and released in May, but yet was used on the proficiency screener after they had already given us, so they weren't really using this when they gave us those 25 points. They literally just picked out of 25 points. So this proficiency screener 2 was an absolute lie because it didn't really happen. They actually gave terminations out. We never saw a proficiency screener 2. They just said we would have the opportunity to work towards it. So those of us that were sitting in that meeting we went back, and so for example, my low area was instruction, so we hit the ground running on instruction. They told us, okay, get it up by IRT2, and you'll stay away from that stop sign. So we went and we had a goal. Appraisal team had a goal. My deans, my teachers, we had a goal to meet. We were going to meet it, right? Wrong. They still use those scores, and if you weren't proficient, then you were going to be terminated, period. So here's an example of what the screener looks like. You were given a quality of instruction score, and you were given a professionalism score. So there's the IRT2, and they have a score there, a number out of 15, because that's how many points are given on the spot form. And for example, if you were progressing 1, that's what it would look like. It might say proficient. And then the professionalism rubric. So again, don't know why we got those scores. Those are just numbers picked out of 7. Yay, us. Apparently, I did not reinforce the district culture and philosophy enough, because I was 3 out of 7. Spoiler alert. The IRT process, back to that real quick, because that is also this is also what my instruction is being rated on. And the real gist of this is that 3 district team members, whether it's the executive directors or they're made up of the professional development staff, come and watch 8 to 10 of your teachers, rate them on a scale of 1 to 15, and then that's an average, and that's your IRT score, and that is your rating. The ethical issue with that is that there are people coming from different divisions to rate your instruction, right? And so if I don't do well, they might do well. If I do well, they might not. When you bell curve it, somebody's at the bottom. So there's still 2 people performing maybe the exact same, but because I fall this part in the bell curve, I'm going to be down here or I'm going to be up here. So when you have other people coming to rate your instruction, they have a vested interest in your low performance. So think about that. So again, when all of this came out about the spring break surprise of our employment decisions of all the high-performing schools that were sitting in that meeting of 117, and the Chronicle came out with it, our names and schools were posted, parents were upset. It was a media storm. Superintendent Miles said, no, listen up. We're not really going to use that for employment decisions, so don't worry, that proficiency screening is not going to be used. That is an absolute outright lie, because that data was absolutely used. So IRTs 1 and 2 were used when we told that they wouldn't be, and that data was absolutely used. So that is the mid-year proficiency screener. So when you saw those names out there, or when they say, we were surprised with this lovely screener mid-year, didn't have anything to do with our evaluation, though it was used for our employment, that's what the screener is. So that concludes my video. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about the executive director system, with possibly a never before heard recording of the callousness, and I say callousness, of our district administration. So stay tuned to my next video of HISD Chronicles of a Principal throughout the Destruction 2035.